I want to share with you why a father is so critical in a child's life. And for those of you who didn't have a good father, I want to show you how to find healing and, just as importantly, why your father was not available so that you can find healing and you know that it wasn't your fault. Hi, my name is Ray Hurst with iLab Coaching. I am a holistic personal transformation coach. My goal is to help people understand the why so that they can overcome what they're struggling with. So, why is a father so critical in a child's life? When a child is growing up to the age of 7, I believe they call the age of understanding, around 7, some say 10 years old. So, I'm just going to say 10. Before a child comes to the age of understanding, and before the child can understand who God is and accept Christ as their Savior, they are looking to their Father as the provider, the protector, and they're looking at him as everything because that's all they know. Now, here's what happens that is so critical. As the child is growing up, there is no frame of reference for anything because the first time something happens, it's a core imprint. It imprints at the very core because there's a blank slate. So you can imagine this is the brain and everything that's happening. Now we're going to talk about the things that didn't go well, the things that are causing stress and fear, worry, doubt, and anxiety. Is this little child? This is the first time this event is occurring. So they say, "Whoa, this is not does not feel good. This makes me feel rejected. It makes me feel sad, angry, bitter, abandoned, whatever it might be." So it makes a mark in that child's life. Now, most times, this is going to happen again. And so it again reinforces, makes another mark somewhere else. Now, every time that this same incident or something very similar to this happens again, it's not going to go to leave a core imprint, it's going to reinforce that imprint that was already there. So, what's going to reinforce our core belief? So when you reinforce a core belief, it just strengthens and fortifies and increases that belief. So now this belief keeps growing, and what happens? All these rejection, abandonment, unworthiness keeps increasing and increasing. Why? Because the father never took the time to go back and see where the child is. What are their beliefs? Not just what are they thinking. It's a big difference between thinking and beliefs. Beliefs are at your core. You don't believe every thought you have, and you're just thinking and lots of ideas. So you have 40 thoughts a minute, 70,000 thoughts a day. 50% of what you're struggling with today, it's the same thing you couldn't get through yesterday. Now you can imagine a child is their brain is running in hyper neuroplasticity, meaning it's just taking in lots and lots and lots of new information. As this new information is racing in, they're trying to put it into perspective. And too many times, we as fathers assume that a child should know better and they should be able to cognitively piece things together and respond appropriately because that's what we told them. But we never take the time to unpack what do they really believe. Now, a child is going to tell you what they believe. You may not like what they're saying, but take note, the child is telling you what they believe. Now, the key is never say to the child, "No, you shouldn't believe that. You know better than that." You have to ask why. Why does the child believe that? If you tell them, "No, you shouldn't believe that," You didn't change anything, did you? You're just demanding that they can't believe that. The problem is you never got to the ingrained belief, and you would not help the child to process changing that ingrained belief. What happened? An event happened. The child had no frame of reference. All of a sudden, here comes an event. The child had to give it a meaning because nobody else can give it a meaning but them. Same with you. You could only one that gives it a meaning. Now, if we are not taking the time to listen intently to the child's beliefs, every child has beliefs, and they're not ours. They don't believe exactly what we believe because they have their own processing and their own theories and ideas based on their personality types and what they've seen and how they've seen it. The key is if we're not taking the time to go into their deeply ingrained beliefs, those beliefs will carry with them the rest of their life. Just because we can force their behavior to behave in the way we want when we are there does not mean that that's what they will do when they're on their own. No, they will react in a way that is driven by fear or pleasure. Now, why do we do bad things to get pleasure? It's because we're empty. It's because we don't have pleasure. We don't feel pleasure. Where did that come from? All the way back in the very beginning, when we never corrected these wrong beliefs that were coming into our mind. Fathers, I beg you, if you are not taking the time to truly listen to what your children are saying, you will never truly know what they believe. Fathers, I beg you, if you are not taking the time to truly listen to what your children are saying, you will never truly know what they believe. Just because they recite the words you want them to say, just because they do the things you want them to do, doesn't mean that's what they truly believe. It is so critical every day to sit with your child and ask them, how was your day? What happened? What do you think? What do you believe about that? And the key is, do not tell them, oh no, you are wrong. You cannot think that. That'll never work. Because it's going to suppress their creativity. It's not going to allow them to explore, to understand. Of course, your child is going to come up with ideas you don't like. That's natural. That's normal. The key is you can't suppress that idea or that belief. It's if you have to explore it to get them to change it. What happens when you suppress it? Yeah, you pressed it down in. You didn't get it out. Anything you suppress in your child is pressed down in, that the child pushed to the side, but never correctly dealt with it. But now, if you allow them to explore it, why do you feel that way? You're allowing the child to explore their beliefs. Remember, we suppress that belief, it didn't go away. Just because you're not hearing it or seeing it doesn't mean it went away. It got suppressed. But when you help them to explore it, what is the meaning? Where did that come from? Is that good? Let the child explore it. See, guys, we want to fix things so quick. That's not how it works. We got to help the child to come to the conclusion by themselves, by guiding them and asking lots of questions. So every piece that you suppress and push to the side, don't think it pushed it out of their mind. No, it pushed it in deeper into the recesses of their mind. And when is it going to come out? At the wrong time. Because all these little pieces that we suppress and that we push back in, we can push all them back. They're still there. They didn't go away. This is a huge problem. You know what's going to happen is when things are not going well, when they don't feel they can connect to us or anybody else that loves them, that cares for them, we all felt that way. That is when these pieces start connecting together. Is when they have nothing else to connect to, when they don't feel the acceptance and the love. They start putting these pieces together that never made sense before. They don't make sense now, but they really start to explore them because they're saying, wait a minute, I don't feel loved. I don't feel accepted. So if what I'm doing is not working, what are these other pieces that I never explored? Maybe they are the ones that will make me feel good. Well, guess what? They're a lie. And guess who's allowed to show up to the party of a lie? Our enemy, Satan, comes to the lie and helps to promote. Yes, yes, you know what? You really need to look at this thing. You need to look at this and this and this. And for somehow they derive some twisted sense of pleasure from some of these things. Now, some of them, like drugs, sex, and rock and roll, have instant pleasure. And it gets worse. And so, as I'm getting pleasure from these things that I shouldn't, all of a sudden, I'm looking for this because I did not have pleasure in anything else. Remember, we are driven by fear and pleasure. If I am so desperate for pleasure, it's because I don't have it. When don't I have it? In my childhood, in the beginning. Them stuff, when those things get rooted into my life, into my brain, at that young age, I will be driven the rest of my life until I come back and deal with this pain and this suffering. Now, I know a lot of you very well could have come from a broken home or not had a loving, gentle, kind father who sat with you to try and understand why you think or feel what you do. You very well could have had an absent father who just wasn't there. And there's a high potential that you had an abusive father who, I'm sorry to say, the facts are the facts, that was just physically, mentally, and even sexually abusive. These things leave incredible scars in our mind. They do not just go away. So, no matter who abused you mentally, physically, spiritually, or sexually, that doesn't just go away because you don't talk about it. No, nothing goes away because you don't talk about it. What's happening? It's suppressed into your brain. And whatever you suppress down doesn't go away, it stays there, only to come back at the wrong time. Now, whatever you suppress down is going to come out somewhere, somehow, because all the other things you're trying are not working, and all of a sudden this comes back. and you find another way to find relief. And we're driven by fear and pleasure because the pleasure is the driven by the lack of. The fear is driven by the mistreatment and the lies and the wrong understanding. If we do not ourselves as an adult take the time to come back here and unpack what we believe, we will always believe what we always believed. Now, unfortunately, for those who did not have a good father, you need to change the meaning of who you are because of what your father did. And let me say, I'm very sorry that your father wasn't available or kind to you. I'm so sorry for the abuse that you suffered. Your anger and your bitterness toward your father will never bring you healing. It'll never bring you peace or joy. The only way you can be free from the suffering of not having a loving, kind father is you have to be willing to go back here. And you have to be willing to change the meaning. Yes, like my father, he left when I was 4 years old. I said I was abandoned, I was rejected all my life. I suffered through 2 major depressions because of this. It wasn't until after I come out of my second over 10 years ago that I went back and started changing the meaning of what my father did. Now, instead of saying my father abandoned or rejected me, I say my father was broken and empty. My father could not give me what he did not have. He couldn't. He didn't have it. He couldn't give it to me. So what I had to do is I had to go in here to these memories that were very true, but I had to give it a new meaning. The new meaning is I was not abandoned. I am not rejected, like I told people all my life. When I start doing that, that's being transformed by the renewing of my mind. I started finding freedom because I broke the lie. The Word of God says, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. That means if you are not free, then somewhere you don't have the truth. There's only one place that you would not have the truth, and that is in how are you thinking about you. So it doesn't matter what you think about anybody else or anything else. It's not going to affect your life as much as what do you think about you? Who are you? Why do you think this way about you? Until you take the time, I call it 5 simple steps. Stop. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? Is it true? What's the truth? Here's the problem. We have 40 thoughts a minute, 70,000 thoughts a day. 50% of what I'm thinking about today is the same as yesterday, is I never stop to say, what am I thinking? I want to think what I'm thinking. I want to try and think of a new way to get out of what I'm thinking about. How's that working? It's not. So I need to stop and say, Ray, what are you thinking? Now, here's the key, guys. Here is the key for anybody watching this video, men or women. Why am I thinking that? If you never get down to why am I thinking that, nothing will ever change. Is it true? What's the truth? Stop. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? Is it true? What is the truth? We got to stop trying to think what we're thinking, and why has to become my favorite word. You cannot be angry and curious at the same time. Either you're angry or you're curious. Stay curious. Because when you're curious, you start saying, why? Why is this happening? And in order to find out why, you got to search and you got to look for creative new ideas to understand. If you say, oh, they're just being a jerk, well, that's not being curious. That's a statement. Or they're just stupid. That's not being curious. That's not asking a question. That's making a statement. You already come up with a matter of fact. This is what it is. No, be curious. Why are they doing that? Did they have a bad day? Did they have a rough childhood? Maybe they didn't have a good father. Maybe they were hurting. You see the difference? It is so easy to say, oh, they're just dumb. They just don't care. They don't care about anything. Those are all statements. Those are not questions. Truly, truly question everything. Then you're going to start coming up with deeper answers. When you come up with these answers, they should be transforming you by the renewing of your mind, meaning you start changing what you believe. If you're not changing what you believe about you, you're not being transformed by the renewing of your mind, and you will continue to do what you've always done, and you will continue to get what you always get. So, back again to fathers. You are so critically important to your child's life. You are literally helping to form and shape a child's future. You cannot take responsibility for what your child becomes any more than your father is responsible for how you are and how you are acting. You are 100% responsible for your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs, and what you do or don't do in life. Just the same as your child will be responsible for 100% of what they do. But you are responsible to share the love, the compassion, and take the time to help your child develop, especially in formative years. When they're coming to closer to that age of understanding, 5, 6, 7 years old, we get to expecting a lot from them. We expect that they really should be doing more, knowing more, doing it right, and not making mistakes. Be careful. We as adults continue to make mistakes. The key is why. Why has to become your favorite word. Sit with your child and let them know there is no wrong answers. Because no matter what the answer your child comes up with, you can always go back to the why. Why did you do that? Why did you think that was a good idea? But here's the thing, if you're going to ask your child why, don't tell them how to answer it. Don't put an expectation on the answer you're looking for, because that means you never allowed your child to explore why. Because if you're putting that expectation on, the child knows what you expect to hear. They're going to say what you want to hear so they can get out of trouble. But did that really transform their mind? Did that really eliminate this? Or did it suppress it? You know the answer. This is hard, guys. I'm going to be honest. As a father, I made a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately, my children were adults before I really got this. Praise God, my children still love me, still have a good relationship. It's only by the grace of God that I did a few things right. Fathers, if you are not taking the time to let your child share their heart and just keep asking why, your child is going to become what you try to demand them, but they're going to suppress so many things that are going to come up later that they're not going to be what you wanted them to be. Just because you're getting the proper behavior out of them as a child. Forced behavior is never voluntary behavior. If they are not behaving voluntarily out of love, they're doing it out of fear. When a child grows up in fear, they're looking for pleasure because they don't have it. Fathers, it is so important that you take the time to find out your why. Why is it so hard for you to let them explore? Why is it so hard for you to take the time to let them unpack it? Why are you so demanding? Why do you have such high expectations of them? Why are you not able to let them take their time to come through it? Why? The answer is you haven't dealt with your pain and with your hurt. I would like to offer you a free consultation to share with you how we can help you walk through the healing process of getting rid of your junk so that you don't pass it on to the next generation. If we can only give what we have. Remember, when somebody is broken and empty, they cannot give what they do not have. If you're broken and empty, I would love to help you so that you can help your children, so they can be who God had made them to be without dealing with the bondage and the baggage that too many times we help to put there. Looking forward to talking to you soon of how we can help you to be a better father or to overcome the wounds and hurts that you've been struggling with.